What's up, lords and ladies? Welcome to Reptile Answers. Now, this is a series in which you guys ask me your questions and I give you my best answers that I possibly can. But with that being said, today we actually have a question from Alex Ortez. So his question reads, "Hey man, I've been watching your YouTube videos and I watched the one on how to tell their morphs. I still don't know which one mine is. I'm new to keeping them and I would really like to know. I have some videos I could send. Any that might help you, help me. If you get the chance, I appreciate it. Brother, stay blessed." So right here is the picture of the bearded dragon that was sent to me. Now, before we begin, we gotta zoom in to the nails. Okay, so anytime I get a question like this regarding bearded dragon morphs, I always tend to look at certain things. The very first thing that I look at to tell what bearded dragon or what morph this one is the nails. And that's why I said we gotta zoom into the nails. Now, bearded dragons that have dark nails usually are normals or translucents or some other gene. Normally, bearded dragons that have all clear nails, and I mean completely clear, like there's no black pigment, there's no black line in it, completely clear, those ones will be considered hypo bearded dragons. So since the nails on this bearded dragon is not clear, I completely dismiss that it is a hypo bearded dragon. Now, the next thing that I look at when it comes to identifying this bearded dragon is its eyes. Now, the eyes of this bearded dragon, as you can see, it looks like a regular bearded dragon. If it was a solid black eye, then I would consider it being a translucent bearded dragon. Translucent bearded dragons usually have solid black eyes. Now, another thing that I learned about translucent bearded dragons is that they could be partially translucent, which means their eyes are not solid black, but every other characteristic that is, their body and everything is usually, related to the translucent morph. Now, because this bearded dragon doesn't look translucent already, because a bearded dragon that's translucent, you could almost see its guts. Like, look at this picture, you could almost see through the bearded dragon. Now, as the bearded dragon gets older, you no longer see that, but when they're babies, especially at this age, you could see right through them almost, on their belly. So the fact that I can't see that indicates that this bearded dragon is not a translucent. So it's not hypo, it's not a translucent, and it's definitely not a hypotranslucent, which a hypotranslucent will be clear nails and a solid black eye or just that see-through kind of look. Now, when it comes to bearded dragons, there's different colorations and different morphs. So it's just like ball pythons and other species out there. There's different names to them. Now, bearded dragons don't have that many morphs compared to, let's say, ball pythons, but bearded dragons do have a good group of morphs. I believe there's about 20 different kinds of morphs, with the most common ones being hypo, translucent, hypotranslucents when they're combined, zeros, wiblets, and there's so many other ones as well, like dunners, as well as leatherbacks and stuff like that. Now, of course, with morphs, there's also colors. So a lot of people get this confused where they're like, but my bearded dragon can't be a normal, it's completely red. That's because it might have a coloration of the red gene. So just because the bearded dragon is red doesn't necessarily mean it's a type of morph or a type of gene. Usually the genes fall into categories such as colors, the morphs, and the scales that basically it brings in. So like, for instance, leatherbacks are more for the scales, or they're more focused on the scales. So you could have a hypotranslucent leatherback, as well as dunner is another scale kind of changing morph. So you could have a hypotranslucent dunner, So even though your bearded dragon might not have a morph, it might have a coloration. So you could have a red bearded dragon that is a dunner and a hypo-translucent. Now this might be confusing, but unless you're like trying to breed, I don't really recommend you having to go too deep into it. But there's certain signs that you could look into when it comes to the different colors, the different morphs. I would suggest just look it up. Be like red bearded dragon, how to tell a hypo-translucent, and all of these things. Because like I said, there's different kinds of morphs. I believe there's, like I said, 20 of them. So I would try to put a list of all of them here. I might miss some of them, as you know, I'm not too familiar with every single one of them, but I would say I've kept and bred bearded dragons with all different kinds of morphs. At the end of the day, when I look at this bearded dragon, I look for different signs, like scales, which direction the scales are. Are the scales reduced? Are the scales increased? Because if the scales are increased, then it might be a dunner. If the scales are reduced, it might be a leatherback. And if this has no scales, it will be a silk bearded dragon. There's different ranges when it comes to scalations. Now, when I'm looking for different mutations like the hypo as well as the translucent, I'll look for the nails and the eyes. Now, when it comes to the colors, you just look at the color and be like, well, this bearded dragon's orange. Oh, this bearded dragon is white. Oh, this bearded dragon is a red or yellow bearded dragon. So when I look at this bearded dragon and I looked at every single thing, it just turns out that it is a normal bearded dragon. It just happens to have a little bit more red. So either the parents had a little bit red and it just passed on through generations. So this could actually be a red bearded dragon, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is a morph or it is some sort of mutation. Now, if you guys really want me to go in depth on different mutations and what they do, I will make a whole separate video. If this video gets 1,000 likes, which I know you guys can do, there's 100,000 subscribers. I don't know how many of you guys are watching right now, but if we get 1,000 likes, then I will make a more specific video on every single mutation and explain every single one of them. Like I said, there's only 20 of them that I know of. So I believe I could actually like pinpoint and give you guys great advice when it comes to that, and I'll actually make a very structured video talking about the different mutations. So hopefully you guys get this video up to 1,000 likes. I highly appreciate it. But that is it for today's Reptile's Answers. Hopefully I answered your question. I'm going to be talking to him and just explaining more in detail what I think it is. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and hopefully you guys learned a thing or two. But with that being said, I'm Lord of Lion. Keep the blood pumping, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.